Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Target. Target Bloodbath has sales dropped for the first time in 7 years. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from the National Legal and Policy Center, tuck-friendly Target sales decline after fallout from trans agenda. Target's annual revenue has fallen year over year for the first time in 7 years, according to the Wall Street Journal. And from the Wall Street Journal, Target aims for turnaround after first sales decline since 2016. From the New York Post, Target's reputation takes a hit over children's LGBT clothing, according to a survey. And from Vox, the conservative boycott playbook is kind of working. From Bud Light to Target, right-wing anger at woke capitalism is scaring corporate America. From the National Legal and Policy Center, tuck-friendly Target sales decline after fallout from trans agenda. The company has been battling the effects of weaker traffic to its stores and shoppers spending a bigger chunk of their budgets on food and other essentials. On Tuesday, Target said revenue in the year ended February 3rd was $107 billion, down 1.6% from the previous year. Target earns most of its sales from non-food items, in contrast to competitors such as Walmart, the country's largest grocer. While inflation is cooling, especially in some non-food categories, it's been 30 years since food costs have accounted for such a high percentage of America's spending, according to government figures. Target's weakness comes as some competitors are growing at a faster clip, including Amazon, Walmart, and Costco. Each of those companies has recently attracted more shoppers looking for fast shipping or deals on food and other essentials. Target has also dealt with its own missteps. The retailer angered shoppers over certain products being sold for LGBT Pride Month and its response to the blowback, further hurting revenue. Target was the subject of a devastating boycott after featuring tuck-friendly swimsuits designed for transgender individuals in advance of Pride Month. As a result, the company lost $10 billion in market value in just 5 days. The boycott occurred not long after a Bud Light marketing campaign featuring a transgender influencer named Dylan Mulvaney had backfired and cost parent company Anheuser-Busch billions in lost revenue. Even the left-wing media outlet Vox admitted the conservative boycott playbook is kind of working. NLPC chairman Peter Flaherty published an op-ed not long after the boycott erupted that accused Target's CEO Brian Cornell of being clueless to the danger of siding with the woke mob. Quote, Cornell has failed to fathom that he is on the wrong side of the cultural revolution that is being foisted on the American people. As the moral anarchist demands become more extreme, the reaction will become more furious. Unfortunately, Target refuses to learn its lesson. An annual survey recently conducted by the American Conservative Values ETF found that Target was one of the top 3 most woke liberal S&P 500 companies. The company is being held hostage by an activist board and a complicit management team. Disney has the same problem. From Real Clear Markets, does the Target Pride episode signal peak CEO cluelessness? On Target's May 17th earnings call, Chairman and CEO Brian Cornell complained that theft from its stores will hit the bottom line big time, costing the retailer $500 million in profits just this year. Even more ominously, he warned that stores are increasingly scenes of violence. Meanwhile, 2 female employees of a Lululemon store in Atlanta are reporting to have been fired for calling the police during a robbery. Video of the incident shows masked men who reportedly had hit the store before, swearing at the women and removing goods with impunity. Target may not be Lululemon, but it suffers from the same disease. Target literally spending $100 million of their investors' money. It's not Target's money. It doesn't belong to the management or the board of directors. It belongs to the shareholder. And here they are inside Target's $100 million investment in Black communities, our latest effort in our commitment to advancing racial equity. They just spend the money like it's their money. It's not. It belongs to shareholders. Of course, Target's embrace of equity at the expense of the concept of equality provides the moral justification for shoplifting and organized theft. Target perpetuates a culture of grievance, then laments in the inevitable result. Target proudly links to groups that it bankrolls, such as something called Vote, Run, Lead, that offers podcasts titled, How a Female Democrat Beat a Male Republican, We Are Done with Equality, We Deserve the Majority, and even a film, Time for Ilhan Omar. To corporate America, it's as if half or more of the country does not exist. Until now, there's been little risk. The idea of leadership taught in business schools mostly disappeared years ago, replaced by what was once called political correctness, and now wokeism. As long as CEOs check the boxes of certain social and political causes, they're immune from media criticism and safe from the activists who would otherwise be their critics. The list of causes, however, gets longer and weirder. Anheuser-Busch decided that the Bud Light brand could use a little freshening up with the help of Dylan Mulvaney celebrating his 365th day of womanhood. The reaction has been an unprecedented, spontaneous boycott that has spread across social media. It has no real leaders, only participants, some famous and most who are not. Now it's Target's turn. This time it's not a brand that's in jeopardy, but an entire company. When asked about the firestorm, CEO Cornell retreated to familiar territory. Quote, "The things we've done from a diversity, equity, and inclusion standpoint, it's adding value," Cornell said. "It's helping us drive sales. It's building greater engagement with both our teams and our guests. And those are just the right things for our business today." Pride merchandise aimed at toddlers and tuck-friendly bathing suits are not just controversial, they embody evil. Gender is neither a cultural construct nor a form of oppression. Cornell made $17.6 million last year. For that money, shareholders might expect a simple grasp of biology. In 2016, Target wrote out a boycott by the American Family Association over a related issue, the use of the women's room by biological males. More than 1 million people pledged to shop at Target no more. That any business could ignore 1 million consumers confirms the omnipotence of the forces to which CEOs have considered themselves beholden. But this time may be different. Woke executives cannot hide. When FoxNews.com published a report that Target funds Gleason, a group that promotes gender ideology in grade schools, Elon Musk tweeted to his more than 100 million followers with this question: "Is it true?" And yes, Elon, it is. But have we reached peak CEO cluelessness? Peaks are only obvious in retrospect, but we may already be there. The battle definitely continues with the woke CEOs. They still keep pushing this. But Target has without question now damaged their reputation forever. This is from the New York Post. Target's reputation takes a hit over children's LGBT clothing, survey shows. Target's reputation with U.S. shoppers has taken a steep hit this year as the cheap chic retail chain released the controversial Pride apparel collection that includes chuck-friendly swimwear and LGBT-friendly gear for infants and children, according to a survey. The Minneapolis-based discounter took 53rd place on the 2023 Axios Harris Poll 100 Corporate Reputation Rankings released Tuesday, the same day the chain yanked some of its Pride merchandise off store shelves after the pro-LGBT messages caused a disaster. Target's 21 spot drop was the third largest on the list behind Tesla, which fell 50 places, and the 22 spot plunge suffered by Chrysler. Target also scored poorly in the survey's reputational quotient, or RQ metric. One of the 9 categories used to determine the overall RQ score, Target did the worst in culture, defined as a company that is good to work for, placing 65th with a score of 74. And the retailer's vision score, determined based on the company's clear vision for the future, dropped a drastic 24 places from 2022. Target also took a hit when it comes to citizenship, as defined as a company that shares my values and supports good causes, dropping to 35th place from 19th place last year. Target's worst rated category in 2022, meanwhile, was its products and services, defined as a company that develops innovative products and services and offers high-quality products and services. It ranked 39th in the products and services category in 2022 with a score of 78.7. Target failed to score that high in any of the 9 categories in 2023. About 16,000 survey participants were polled between March 13th and March 28th, ranking the country's most visible brands based on 9 criteria, including trajectory, culture, ethics, growth, products and services, and more. The retailer has repeatedly been called out around this time each year for taking part in rainbow capitalism, which describes profiting off the commodification of the LGBT community, especially surrounding Pride Month in June. In 2021, Target's Pride collection was slammed for being ugly and out of touch. For 2022's Pride Month, Target tapped a team of 7 LGBT artists to design its collection. Pieces included genderless underwear and swimsuits. There were also chest binders, gender-affirming undergarments used by transgender and non-binary people to flatten their chests, and packing boxers, which are made of an extra pocket for a gender-affirming prosthetic. Though LGBT customers seem happy with the 2022 Pride line, they still express disappointment that the inclusive clothing was only available during Pride celebrations. In 2023, Target is under fire for its Pride collection again. This time, rainbow-clad apparel for infants and children, as well as women's swimsuits offering extra crotch coverage, have caused violent outbursts, leading the chain to remove some of the LGBT-friendly clothing from its stores. Since introducing this year's collection, we've experienced threats impacting our team members' sense of safety and well-being while at work, a Target spokesperson said. Given these volatile circumstances, we are making adjustments to our plans, including removing items that have been at the center of the most significant confrontational behavior. Target declined to confirm which items from its Pride collection would be removed. Pretty much all of the items from their Pride collections ultimately were removed. Critics bashed Target for offering tuck-friendly women's swimsuits that allow trans people who have not had gender-affirming operations to conceal their private parts. A spokesperson confirmed to the Associated Press that these swimsuits were only offered in adult sizes. Elsewhere, in the adult section, customers were also upset to find sweatshirts and tote bags with messages that include "Live, Laugh, Lesbian," "Cure Transphobia, Not Trans People," "Too Queer for Here," and "We Belong Everywhere." The graphic tees were made by London-based apparel company Prolin, which is headed by a transgender person known as Eric, and also sells apparel featuring satanic imagery like pentagrams, horned skulls, and devil references. There was plenty of LGBT merchandise in Target's children's section that outraged conservative customers as well, including t-shirts that say, "Pride Adult Drag Queen Katya," "Trans People Will Always Exist," and "Girls, Gays, Theys." Target CEO Brian Cornell has dismissed the uproar over the retailer's new line, saying the products are good for business and the right thing for society. His comments were made during Fortune's Leadership Next podcast. The executive, whose company employs more than 450,000 workers in more than 1,900 locations nationwide, added that the company's strategy is aimed to cater to a diversifying customer base. And the boycotts have been working. This is from Vox. The conservative boycott playbook is kind of working. The general rule about consumer boycotts is that they rarely work, at least in terms of taking a real bite out of the company's bottom line. Take some recent examples. Plenty of coffee drinkers still love their Keurigs, despite a handful of people smashing their already purchased machines in 2017. In 2018, Nike got a sales boost after angering some conservatives for doing an ad campaign with former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick. In 2020, calls among progressives for a boycott of Goya products semi-backfired. The hullabaloo actually resulted in a brief bump in the food company's sales. This year, though, the boycott outlook in the United States has been a little different. Conservative consumers and normal people specifically have been able to do some damage. Bud Light's decision to embark on a small-scale marketing campaign with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney sparked vast outrage on the right this spring. It cost the company millions of dollars in sales and ultimately contributed to Bud Light's dethroning as the most popular beer in the country. Target's earnings were down for the second quarter. While the Pride backlash wasn't the only main issue in play, a company executive cited the strong reaction to this year's Pride assortment as headwinds during the period. Target now says it's going to pause, adapt, and learn so that its future approach to Pride balances celebration, inclusivity, and broad-based appeal. Neither brand is in dire straits, but they would probably much rather not be in this position. Quote, "Conservatives at the moment are more unified as a group of politically active people than liberals are, especially on the trans issue," said Braden King, a professor of management and organizations at Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management. That's not to say that liberals don't care about trans rights, but they're not as energized over it, and they're not as in lockstep as conservatives are. All the different groups and viewpoints in the Democrats' big tent make it harder to organize, especially when Donald Trump, a unifying force for the left, is no longer in the White House. If he's not there to fight against, it's not clear to me what they all have in common," King said. Companies are likely looking around at competitors, seeing what they're doing, where they're speaking out and where they're not, what they're putting on their shelves and in their marketing campaigns. There's safety in numbers, even in concentrated corporate America. Quote, "The old joke is you don't have to outrun the bear. You have to outrun the other guy who's running from the bear. Nobody wants to be the person the bear catches," Tellis said. And the bear has been poked. Target sales down for the first time in 7 years is a big deal for Target. Pride Month is coming up in just a couple of months. We'll have to see if they've learned their lesson and if they respect their customers or if they're stuck on trying to push an agenda on their customers. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.